is a one-stop solution. Game Institute India. Join Game Institute India and become part of the global gaming industry. A $522 billion market offering over 1 million career opportunities worldwide. At Game Institute India, we focus on 100% practical learning, giving you real-world exposure to game development, game design, and cutting-edge technologies like AR, VR, and the metaverse. Here, the students don't just learn, they create their own games, apply their creativity, and continuously level up their skills. You'll work on the industry-oriented projects, gain valuable experience, and graduate ready to step into the top-tier studios like Rockstar, Ubisoft, and more. Gaming isn't just playing, it's a global career. Enroll today and turn your passion into a profession. As a child, I always wanted to build games. Game like PUBG, vintage game Mario, everyone's favorite GTA. I wanted to become a game developer, but I wonder how.
पापा मुझे गेम डेवलपर बनना है।
अबे फालतूगिरी छोड़, चुपचाप इंजीनियरिंग कर ले।
Why don't you become a doctor?
दिख रहा बिजनेस करी ले।
अरे गवर्नमेंट जॉब करना। इनफ, मुझे नहीं बनना डॉक्टर, इंजीनियर या गवर्नमेंट सर्वेंट। I just want to build cool games.
What if there were an institute that taught me 100% practical game development and design?
Yes, there is a one-stop solution. Game Institute India. Join Game Institute India and become part of the global gaming industry. A $522 billion market offering over 1 million career opportunities worldwide. At Game Institute India, we focus on 100% practical learning, giving you real-world exposure to game development, game design, and cutting-edge technologies like AR, VR, and the metaverse. Here, the students don't just learn, they create their own games, apply their creativity, and continuously level up their skills. You'll work on the industry-oriented projects, gain valuable experience, and graduate ready to step into the top-tier studios like Rockstar, Ubisoft, and more. Gaming isn't just playing, it's a global career. Enroll today and turn your passion into a profession.
As a child, I always wanted to build games.
Game like PUBG, vintage game Mario, everyone's favorite GTA.
I wanted to become a game developer, but I wonder how. पापा मुझे गेम डेवलपर बनना है।
अबे फालतूगिरी छोड़, चुपचाप इंजीनियरिंग कर ले।
Why don't you become a doctor?
दिख रहा बिजनेस करी ले।
अरे गवर्नमेंट जॉब करना। इनफ, मुझे नहीं बनना डॉक्टर, इंजीनियर या गवर्नमेंट सर्वेंट। I just want to build cool games.
What if there were an institute that taught me 100% practical game development and design?
Yes, there is a one-stop solution. Game Institute India. Join Game Institute India and become part of the global gaming industry. A $522 billion market offering over 1 million career opportunities worldwide. At Game Institute India, we focus on 100% practical learning, giving you real-world exposure to game development, game design, and cutting-edge technologies like AR, VR, and the metaverse. Here, the students don't just learn, they create their own games, apply their creativity, and continuously level up their skills.
चुपचाप इंजीनियरिंग कर ले।
Why don't you become a doctor?
दिख रहा बिजनेस करी ले।
अरे गवर्नमेंट जॉब करना। इनफ, मुझे नहीं बनना डॉक्टर, इंजीनियर या गवर्नमेंट सर्वेंट। I just want to build cool games.
What if there were an institute that taught me 100% practical game development and design?
Yes, there is a one-stop solution. Game Institute India. Join Game Institute India and become part of the global gaming industry. A $522 billion market offering over 1 million career opportunities worldwide. At Game Institute India, we focus on 100% practical learning, giving you real-world exposure to game development, game design, and cutting-edge technologies like AR, VR, and the metaverse. Here, the students don't just learn, they create their own games, apply their creativity, and continuously level up their skills. You'll work on the industry-oriented projects, gain valuable experience, and graduate ready to step into the top-tier studios like Rockstar, Ubisoft, and more. Gaming isn't just playing, it's a global career. Enroll today and turn your passion into a profession.
As a child, I always wanted to build games.
Game like PUBG, vintage game Mario, everyone's favorite GTA.
I wanted to become a game developer, but I wonder how. पापा मुझे गेम डेवलपर बनना है।
अबे फालतूगिरी छोड़, चुपचाप इंजीनियरिंग कर ले।
Why don't you become a doctor?
दिख रहा बिजनेस करी ले।
अरे गवर्नमेंट जॉब करना। इनफ, मुझे नहीं बनना डॉक्टर, इंजीनियर या गवर्नमेंट सर्वेंट। I just want to build cool games.
What if there were an institute that taught me 100% practical game development and design?
Yes, there is a one-stop solution. Game Institute India. Join Game Institute India and become part of the global gaming industry.
Am I audible? Okay. I hope everything is set. So, hi guys, welcome back to the stream once again. I am Harsh Bhagwat. As all of our previous viewers have seen, I am a mentor at Game Institute India here, and I specialize in Unreal Engine 5. And today is going to be the continuation of our last episode, in which, as you all know, we are creating a game like Astrobot. So we'll be creating our own robot-like shooter game. But before heading into the game development, I just want to give a quick overview about where I am, what we are, and what we do. Okay, so let me begin first of all an introduction to Game Institute India. Just a minute, I'm having some technical issues. You can wait for a few minutes.
As a child, I always wanted to build games.
Game like PUBG, vintage game Mario, everyone's favorite GTA.
I wanted to become a game developer, but I wonder how. पापा मुझे गेम डेवलपर बनना है.
अबे फालतूगिरी छोड़, चुपचाप इंजीनियरिंग कर ले.
Why don't you become a doctor?
दिख रहा बिजनेस कर ही ले. अरे गवर्नमेंट जॉब करना. Enough. मुझे नहीं बनना डॉक्टर, इंजीनियर या गवर्नमेंट सर्वेंट. I just want to build cool games.
What if there were an institute that taught me 100% practical game development and design?
Yes, there is a one-stop solution. Game Institute India. Join Game Institute India and become part of the global gaming industry. A $522 billion market offering over 1 million career opportunities worldwide. At Game Institute India, we focus on 100% practical learning, giving you real-world exposure to game development, game design, and cutting-edge technologies like AR, VR, and the metaverse. Here, the students don't just learn, they create their own games, apply their creativity, and continuously level up their skills. You'll work on the industry-oriented projects, gain valuable experience, and graduate ready to step into the top-tier studios like Rockstar, Ubisoft, and more. Gaming isn't just playing, it's a global career.
Yeah, so sorry for that. We just had some technical difficulties. But yeah, we are back, and as I was saying, I want to give you all a introduction about Game Institute India. Okay, so just so that I can be a little more clear with my introduction, I would like to take you all to our own website, which is www.gameinstituteindia.com. You guys can visit our website, and in here you can find all the information related to our institute. We provide a lot of numerous courses, be it modeling, designing, VFX, and our core, that is game development. So you can scroll our whole website and you can get a lot of insight on our courses. If you keep on scrolling, you can see we have game development, virtual reality, AR, VR, MR, and etc. similar courses. We also provide degree programs such as BBA, BCA, and etc. Now, we are an institute that have 13 plus years of experience, and we have many happy students that have passed on from our institute. And for the most exciting part, I want you all to check out all our tie-ups, and once we are done with that, you can enjoy some of our games that the people that have worked, that have learned here, have created on their own. So make sure to check out all the games, and if you have any queries, you can just go to the contact us section, and here you can find all the details regarding to contacting us. So you can just submit the name, last name, and email, and our team will contact you. Okay, so pardon me, I was not on my screen. Okay, so as you can see now, here I have my Game Institute India website open, Alright, so just as I said, there are multiple courses that we offer, our degree programs, and then as you scroll down, you'll see all our media partners, and in the last, you can see all the games that we have created. So make sure to try all the games and leave a feedback to us. Also contact us if you have any queries, and our team will revert you back. So that being said, let's start with our today's topic, that is developing a robot shooter. So as you all might have known, in the last session we covered some basics and some setup part. So today I'll just show you what all we have created. Alright, so here you can see we have a robot. Our robot is the main character. He can walk around, he can jump, he can also sprint. Alright, so the animation part and the input part is what we did set up in our last stream. So I hope all of the viewers that have watched till there have caught up till that part. So in our today's stream session, we will be creating some forward mechanics that we'll be using in our game. For example, we can implement a shooting method or a mechanic inside our robot. So I'll just open my robot blueprint and I'll give you all an overview of what we have created till now. So here you can see, here we have our robot blueprint. All right. So as you see, there are some logic blocks that we have coded. We have our movement, mouse input, sprint, and jump. Okay. So first of all, to start with the shooting logic and the basics of shooting logic, there are some core concepts or components that we need to figure out. There are some actions as well, such as the shooting action, the reloading action, and the aiming action, which we thankfully have got from the Radical Mic asset pack that you are seeing on your screen currently. If I go into the animations part, here you can see there are multiple animations that we have inside our asset pack. So by using this, we will be creating some animations today. So let's start. Let's join me in this adventurous game development course. Let's go. Alright, so I'll start by creating some basic variables inside my blueprint, that is our BP underscore robot. Okay, but before I head into creating the variables, I need to give the inputs. Alright, so I'll just quickly head to my inputs folder where I have all my input actions. So inside this, I'm just going to create some new actions. We'll see those in a moment. I'll have reload, then I'll create the shoot, or do I already have the shoot? No, I don't. And the last being the aim. Okay, so input and input action, I underscore aim robot. Now I'm adding the robot word in the end so that we don't get confused while we are creating the input actions, since there are multiple input actions that are present by default inside our Unreal Engine template, which is the third person shooter template. Okay, Spy Gaming is saying hello sir. Hello Spy. Okay, so here as you can see, there are multiple input actions that we have already implemented inside our character. So I'll just head on and add a couple of new and empty action mappings, but apparently it is only accepting one at a time. So let's proceed one at a time. I'll add in the aim input action for our robot, and the key that we are going to use for this is going to our right mouse button. Okay, after that we have our reload and shoot. So first of all, we'll add the shoot. For that, I'll have the key of left mouse button and the last being the reload. Okay. All right. And for reload, I'll give the universal key, that is R. All right. So here we have completed the part where we add our input buttons, basically for aim, shoot and reload. So now let's head on to our blueprint and just quickly create some events for each of them. First of all, I have the aim. This is for my aiming part. Then I want my shooting part, and lastly I want my reloading part. Alright, so we have those added inside here. So let's go through them one by one and let's see how actually we need our robot to proceed. So when I'm aiming, I will be tapping my right click mouse button and my camera and my character will go into the aiming mode. Okay, so how exactly that will be done, we'll just look at it in a moment. But to make sure that all these things are working properly, I'll just create some variables. Namingly is aiming, is shooting, and the last one, that is reloading. Okay, so we have 3 of our variables set up here. So I'll just check if my variables are working fine. So as I said, for the first part, that is going to be our aiming part, we will tap the right click once and our character will be going into our aim mode. So for that we need to alternate between the inputs, and inside Unreal Engine we have a very useful node for that exact purpose, that is called the flip-flop. Okay, so I'll just use the flip-flop node here. After that, I'll just set my boolean to true and false alternatively. So for the first time when I tap my right click mouse button, it is going to set it to true, and the second time it is going to set it to false. So I'll just check if it is working. I'll just print a string Alright, so let's check if it is working. You can see in the top left corner of our screen, if I click my right mouse button, it prints true and then false, and then alternatively it will keep on printing true and false, which means our system or our logic is working fine. Let's leave that aside for now. Let's come to the shooting part. Now for the shooting part, I want to run the shooting part or the shooting logic as long as my mouse button or my left mouse button is clicked. Okay, so for that we'll be using the trigger execution pin, and here I'll again use a print string that is going to say shooting. All right, let's check if this is working. Yeah, so as you can see, my player is shooting constantly for as long as I will hold the shooting mouse key. Okay, so let's delete this, and the reload is going to be a one-time action, so we'll keep that aside for now. Okay, so for this we will need to create some animations, or particularly some animation montages. So we'll just look at how to create our own animation montages with the pre-supplied animation sequences. So I'll just head into my animation. Here I'll create a new animation montage. Now keep in mind the skeleton that you are using should be of the player that you currently have selected as your default pawn. In our case, it is the SK underscore mega Mike. So I'll just select that. AM underscore. Let's make it for aim, or maybe we will make an aim offset for aiming. So let's make one for shooting, maybe. Aim underscore shoot robot. Okay. So inside shoot robot, that is our animation montage, I need to add some asset, or particularly the animation asset. So I'll just come inside my asset browser, and in here I have available animation assets that support my particular skeleton that is selected. So since we are creating our shooting animation montage, I need to look for my fire R. Okay, I'll just drag and drop it, and now you can see that it is shooting. Perfect. As for the slot group that we are using, the default slot group, we can change it if we want later on, but for now we'll just keep it to the default slot group. Okay, so that is done. One montage for shooting is done. I'll create another one. Animation montage for our skeleton. This will be reload robot. Okay, so yeah, Kunal Chaudhary is saying hello brother. Hello, welcome to the stream. I hope you learned something new here. And now we are creating an animation montage for reloading. So for here I'll just search for my reload animation. Here it is the reload R animation. I'll just drag and drop it. Okay, so it is a weird looking animation, but it does not matter. It looks like it is doing a tiny dance, but that is not, it is not going to be looping. Okay, so it will just play once and it will stop. So that is our, so that was our reload animation. All right, so that is done. Now we just need to play these montages inside our robot blueprint, and for that I need to use my play montage node. But before that, there is one more thing remaining, which we'll see in a minute. Now when I click on shoot, I just want to play montage. Now we'll be enhancing our code step by step as we proceed. Let's sing, let's go. Okay, so here I have my play montage node, and I just need to select what exactly animation montage I need to play. Okay, so I'll just select my, what is this action? This is the shoot action. I'll select my shoot, and technically I want it to be on started, since I want the robot to fire small projectiles every click. So I'll just keep it on started, and once I click the button, it will just play the shoot robot animation. Also, when you're using the play montage node, do not forget to give it the skeletal mesh component, or else it will not reflect on your character. Okay, so for the shooting, we have the shoot robot animation, and for reloading, I'll just use another play montage node. And this time it is going to be our reload animation montage. All right, same, I'll just give the reference of my skeletal mesh component. Hello view. Hi. So all the viewers that are joining in recently, welcome to the stream. Keep watching. I hope you all learn something new and you all try something new. Okay, so yeah, so we have our reload and our shooting animations ready. So we'll just head on to our animation blueprint for once. And here in the event graph, in the anim graph, we currently only have one state machine, which is our locomotion, which handles all the states. So even here I can comment this out. I'll just call this jumping loop. Alright, so I did not mean to do that when I came here, but I just saw an opportunity. Yeah, so in here, along with my locomotion state machine, now I need to have something that is called my slot default. So I'll just search for my slot default and let's see if this works, which it technically should not. But as you can see, when I am shooting, my shooting animation is playing. All right, although it is not complete. And then when I hit my reload key, it is reloading its gun, or it is reloading its animation. But as you can see, while I'm running and I click my shoot button, my player will slide. All right, so technically this is not what we want to happen. So what I'll do is I'll head back to my animation blueprint. So first of all, I'll just move this node here, and inside my state machine, for safety purposes, I'll just cache this locomotion state machine and I'll call it locomotion cache. Okay, now I can use it anywhere that I want. So I'll just search for locomotion cache. All right, so now since two of our animations are playing at once, we want them to blend within each other. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just use the layered blend per bone, this node. Okay, so technically the locomotion state machine is going to be my base pose. Okay, and then I want the default slot group to be a blended pose within the animation. All right, so when I click on the layered blend per bone node, I get some options on the details tab. So here you can see the layer setup. Currently there are no members or there are no indexes because we don't have any bones that are separating the animations currently. So I'll just click on add and you can see there is a bone name and there is a blend depth. So here I need to have the spine bone. So I'll just quickly head to the skeleton of this animation. Alright, so here in the skeleton you can see there are multiple bones. We particularly want the spine one bone. I'll just copy the bone name. I don't think I can copy its individual name. From here I can copy it, Control C, and now inside my ABP robot I can just place or paste the name here. All right, now let's see what is going to happen. Technically this too needs a source animation pose, which we'll look at in a minute. So the upper half is just going to be a T pose. So this is a pretty funny looking animation. Looks like a robot wants to fly in his dreams. So that is a very funny pose. So what is happening here is the upper half of our robot's body is currently in the T pose while the lower half is still animating. Okay, so we'll solve that. But before we go to solve that, I also want to make something else. If you remember clearly, we made 3 input actions and we only made montages for the 2 of them. All right, so we have the shoot and our reload montage. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create some animation for our aiming part. So for the aiming part, I feel like we need an aim offset. So I'll just go into animation, and this is the 2D version of the aim offset. We need a legacy one direction version. Okay, so I'll just use that. For our skeleton, I'll just call it AO underscore robot for aim offset. Okay. So inside my aim offset, I have a horizontal axis. I'll just name it pitch. Its value will range from -90 to +90. All right. Now I need some animations here. So technically I need to create single frame animations, particularly the one where the robot is aiming up and then the robot is aiming down. Okay. So how do we create it? Let's learn this. So if you remember, we have some pre-made animations, and inside here I can search for my idle. Yeah, the buster are idle. If I double click and open it, this is the animation that we want. And inside this animation, I want the robot to aim up and down, and it will move according to my mouse. Okay. So how will I do that? Let's just copy this, or maybe I can, instead of doing that, this is the idle R. Yeah, copy here. Okay. So here inside my animations, I now have the idle animation. Yeah, this one. So what I need to do is, I need to first of all open this animation, and inside this I just need one frame from this animation. So what I'll do, I'll just pause the animation first of all, and I will right click and I'll remove the frame 1 to 46. Now you can see all the frames are gone. There is just one frame that is remaining, and now you can see the animation. It is a static animation. Okay, the robot is not moving at all. Why? Because it is just a one frame animation. So inside this, I want the robot to look up, or I want the robot to aim up. So I'll just go into the skeleton, and okay, not here technically, here in the skeleton tree. And now from my spine 1, I'll just rotate these two bones, the spine 1 and the spine 2. If I just like this, I guess that's more than enough. And now once you have rotated, you just need to add a key. Okay, so I can close out of this animation, and you can see on this little preview, it is now looking above or in the up direction. Just name it aim underscore up. Now I'll make a duplicate of this animation by using Control D, and I'll name that aim down. Okay, so in the aim down animation asset, we just need to rotate our bones back to the original position, or it would have been better if, well, never mind, we can just delete the aim down animation technically. And what I'll do is, I'll go into the animations, I'll search for idle R, which is this one, and I'll just copy it once again, because we don't want our animation to be messy, right? It should not look messed up. So I'll just copy it again. Okay, now we have this once more. So the same process again, we are just going to remove frame 1 to 46, and this time we want to make it aim downwards. All right, I'll just add a key, and that is done. Okay, So now if I go into my aim offset robot, I need to import those two animations, but still there is going to be one problem which we'll see in a moment. You see there is the aim up and the, where is Acha? We did not rename it. Quickly rename this. This is the aim down. Okay. So inside the aim offset, now we have the aim up and aim down. But in order to add those here, I need to first change some settings here, which will be, let me see. Yeah, the preview base pose. Okay. So these are the additive settings that we need to change. So here I need, okay, not here actually, wait just a minute. First of all, we need to just give it a preview base pose, which will be our idle animation. The Buster idle R, that is going to be our base pose for the additive pose. And inside my aim up and aim down animation assets, I need to, yeah, there is the additive setting of additive anim type. So here I need to change it from no additive to mesh space, and it is going to be a selected animation frame, and the animation is again going to be our Buster idle R. Alright, I'll save it and I'll do it the same for my aim down. I will change the additive type first of all, and then the base pose type, which is going to be Buster idle R. Okay. So now that this is done, I can head back to my aim offset robot. Okay, and now I can add the animations here. So when it is minus 90, I need to aim down. Okay, so I just drag and drop this here. All right, I'll change its value from, all right, it is currently accurately minus 90. I'll just also turn on the snap to grid option just in case you want it to be even better. All right, so yeah, after that we need to add the aim up animation, and now you can see our character will aim smoothly from top to bottom as the pitch will change based on our camera. Okay, so this is how our character will aim. All right, so we have our aim offset ready, and now if you go into the robot blueprint, we have three things ready: two aim montages and one aim offset. But the aim offset, we are not going to use it here directly, as it will not work properly and it will cause glitches and bugs inside our game. What we'll be doing is, I'll head to the animation blueprint, and here technically what I can do is I can create a state and I can name it aim, and then I can add two more states which are shooting and reloading, but this won't give me the functionality to layered blend per bone. Okay, so I cannot use the node that is the layered blend per bone. So that is the main reason that I won't be doing it here. Technically we can use that node, but it will just be a lot of hassle, which we don't want. So instead I'll just go to my anim graph, and here I'll create another state machine. All right, and this time I'll call it aiming. Now inside this state machine, I will just be having one state for now, which is going to be aiming. Okay, this is going to be my state. Now inside this state, I will have my aim offset. Okay, now there are two inputs that we need to give to this, that is the pitch and the alpha. For the pitch, I'll just promote it to a variable. Okay, and once I do that, I'll come back to my event graph, and from here, okay, so we are doing all this. Okay, technically this should be done, yeah. And now I'll do get my this node. Oh, actually I already have my robot ref. Okay, so that just makes the things easier. So here, from here I'll just get my base aim rotation. Okay. From here, what I can do is, do I need to set it directly or will it not? Okay, it won't. So we'll check another way to take it and put it. Just a minute. Why is my screen lagging? Yeah, okay, it's fixed right now. All right, so yeah, where were we? We were in the base aim rotation. All right, so here what I can do is, since this is the rotator, it has three values. That is the PYR, which is the pitch, yaw, and roll. So you can see those if I'll just split the struct pin. There you go. You have all the three values. So technically, I only need the pitch value from here. Okay. So since that is done, I'll just check in my anim graph once again. All right. So now I'll input the base pose as my aiming state machine, and inside my aiming state machine I have the pitch inserted. And now for the base pose, I'll just give it the Buster Idle R. Sorry. Okay, so now you can see the robot is aiming, and on my anim graph things still look shady, which we will be fixing in a moment. Okay, so yeah, my game is lagging, but yeah, as you can see, my player can aim right now. Let me just, okay, so inside, let me just turn down the settings a bit. Yeah, it's much better right now. So as you can see, my player is aiming continuously and my aim offset is also working. And if I shoot the bullet, you can see whenever I click the shoot button, it will play the shoot animation. Okay, so now let's give it a bit more functionality. Since I cannot switch in and out of my aiming state, my character will continuously be in the aiming state. Okay, so for that, what I'll be doing is I'll be creating an enum. So in my blueprints, just create an enum here. Inside the blueprint, I have an enumeration. So this will be my e underscore layer states. If I just open it, I'll add two of the enumerators. First is going to be aiming, and second is going to be my locomotion. Okay, I'll just save it. And now if I go into my animation blueprint, I can select which one I want based on my enum, which is going to be e underscore player states. The first one, blend poses. Okay, so the default pose is going to be my, no, technically it won't be the default pose. I need to right click and add both of my pins, aiming and locomotion. Okay, so the aiming one goes into there and my locomotion pose will go here. And technically I also need to create an enum player state active value. So that I will be doing inside my the robot blueprint. Here I'll just create a variable. I'll call it states, and this will be of type e underscore layer states enum. Okay. All right. Now I also need to reference that value inside my animation blueprint. So here again, I'll just duplicate this robot reference, get the layer states, and here I'll just promote it to a variable. All right, so we did that. Now let's head back to our anim graph. Here I'll just give it this reference. Okay, and now the by default value should be to locomotion. All right, so this is how our blend will be. Technically this will come afterwards, I hope. All right, so where is my slot? Okay, so this will not be here, it will just be aiming. This will come afterwards, and now technically I have to blend between my locomotion and my default slot. Okay, so now once I compile, things should look something like this. All right, so now when I head back into my robot, instead of setting the boolean true and false, now I also need to select which current player state I am inside. So I'll just set my player state to aiming when this is true, and I'll duplicate this, and then I'll set this to locomotion. All right, and once my player state changes, it is going to change my state machines based on what current player state I am in. So yeah, let's see if this thing works. Okay, so by default you can see my player was in locomotion, was in my aiming state. Let's check why. Weird. Yeah, that is why. All right, so now if I play, my player is in my default mode, and once I right click, you can see that my player can look up down, and he goes into the aiming mode, and now he is not sliding on the ground anymore like he did before. Okay, and now if I right click again, he will come out of the aiming mode. Okay, now there are some other things that we need to set up. Okay, so we have the animation in place for aiming and shooting as well, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, I can shoot. When I click my left mouse button, you can see that my player is shooting, and if I tap my R button, which is my reload key, it will play the reload animation. All right, so now you can see when my player goes into the aiming mode, I want a static mesh that is precisely my gun that is named as Buster. Yeah, this one, the radical Buster. So I want this static mesh to be applied on my robot's arm. So how can I do that? Inside my mesh, I'll just add a static mesh, the radical Buster. Okay, and for the parent socket, I'll be selecting the Buster R socket. All right, so by default I want this to be hidden in game, it's hidden in game should be true. Now when, let me just show you, if I come inside my character and I'll use an animation asset, which is my Buster idle. So this is how the animation will look. So I have this currently hidden in game, right? Yeah, it is currently hidden in game. Okay, so I'll just revert the changes back. All right. So the default visibility for my Buster is going to be hidden, and now I just want to make it visible whenever the character or the robot is aiming. What I'll do is I'll get its reference and I'll just set hidden in game. When my player state is aiming, it should be visible, which means the hidden in game should be false, and when it is in locomotion, it should be true. All right, so we have that set. Let's try it. Okay, so by default the Buster is not visible. As soon as I right click, the gun is visible in my robot's hand. As soon as I left click, the gun is not visible. All right, perfect. But technically, as you can see, it is a very blatant animation. अगर मैं सिर्फ right click करता हूँ, तो you can see कि एकदम अचानक से it becomes visible and suddenly it becomes invisible. So for that purpose, I will create yet another animation montage to just ease out or smooth out the process. For my skeleton, is going to be equip Buster, and inside this I'm just going to drop my equip R animation asset. So if you see, this is how it works. Now I also need to use some notifies inside my animation montage. So at about this point, I guess, yeah, about here, I need a notify track. So I'll just add notify inside the first track. I'll add a montage notify. Okay, so right about here. So what the notify is actually for, when the animation hits this part, exactly this frame, I will toggle the visibility or the hidden in game for my Buster. All right. Okay, so here you can see the name that is currently none. I'll change to equip slash unequip. Perfect. So now when I play this inside my blueprint of robot, I won't just directly set the visibility to hidden and not hidden. What I'll do is, instead, when I'll use the aim button or the aim mouse click button, I'll just play a montage. Okay, and this montage is going to be the equip Buster. Again, the skeletal mesh reference. And now when I have a notify on notify begin, I will set the hidden false. We'll be playing the same animation for equipping and unequipping both the processes. Just duplicate this here. And now on notify begin, I'll just set it hidden in game to true. Okay, so let's check this now. How does it look? So if I right click, you can see how smoothly the Buster or the gun that is disappearing or appearing I right click, yeah, there it is. And if I right click again, it is gone. All right. Okay. So that was our equip and unequip functionality done. Now there are some things that I want to check. Basically, my character or my robot, he can shoot without aiming. So personally, I don't prefer that functionality or that mechanic. So what I can do is inside my robot, in the shoot, in the shoot input action, I'll just check if my player is already aiming. Now, how will I know if my player is already aiming? For that, we have the boolean, that is aiming. Okay. So I'll check if it is already aiming. And do I need to check anything else? Yes, is aiming. And if it is not already shooting, so you cannot spam it, right? We also need to set the shooting boolean, which we will do right now. All right, so what are we checking here? Here we'll be checking if my player is not already shooting, and if he is aiming, only then I can fire my bullet. And if this is true, I'll just set my is shooting boolean to true. And now I also have to make it false, so I'll just duplicate this, and when the animation of shooting is completed, I'll turn this back to false. All right, so now what will happen is, if I spam my mouse click button, as you can see, I'm spamming my mouse click button and still the player, it is not shooting. Okay, so technically what I can do is, I can aim, my gun will be equipped, and only then I can play my shooting animation. All right, and even that I cannot spam it. It can only work once. All right, perfect. So there is our shooting animation and our aiming animation. Now I need to do one more thing. I need to create a crosshair for my aim. So for that, I'll just quickly go inside my content, which I am already in. I'll create a new folder. I'll name it UI, user interface. Inside this, I'll create a user interface widget blueprint of type user widget. I'll just name it to WBP, which stands for widget blueprint, and it will be my HTTP. For now, we'll be only implementing a small crosshair inside this. I'll search for my canvas panel and I'll take two borders. Okay. So for the crosshair purpose, what we'll be doing is, I'll select my anchor, I'll bring it to my center. It will be 0, 0. The alignment will be 0.5 and 0.5. Okay. Now let's manipulate the size, which I want it to be, let's say 60, maybe 60 by 20, or maybe 80 by 20. I guess even that is a little bit big, sorry. So 60 by 10. All right, so this is the horizontal line. I'll just duplicate this border. I'll set the position to 0, and I'll just interchange these values, 10 and 60. Okay, so now there it is, our tiny little crosshair. Okay, so इसको हम लोग as a crosshair use करेंगे. And let's also go into our robot now. So we have our HUD user widget created, and now we need to create it and display it on our screen once we are aiming. So we don't want to continuously display it. That is again a personal preference. If you want, you can always leave the crosshair on your screen, but I personally think that it is only useful in times where the player is in combat. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll first of all create the widget inside my player is our robot. Okay, so the widget is going to be of type WDP HUD. The owning player will get player controller. Alright, so we won't add this right now here to our viewport. We'll just promote this reference. I'll call it HUD ref. Okay, so I have this HUD ref over here, and this there is. I'll just quickly comment these out. This is the aim logic. Okay, this is my shooting logic. This is my reload logic. Okay, so now that our code is clean, we can understand what all the things we are doing. Alright, so here we will add our crosshair to the viewport. Alright, so inside my aim robot, I will check first of all if my robot is aiming, and if it is aiming, I want to add my HUD to the viewport. Add to viewport. And similarly, I'll just duplicate the reference, and now you cannot technically remove from viewport. What you can do is remove from parent. Okay. Alright, so let's see if this works now. Yeah, I'm inside my game. I right click and you can see a crosshair has spawned, and when I right click again, the crosshair is disappearing, and at the same time my gun is also getting equipped and it is getting disappearing. Alright, but as you might have noticed, the crosshair is right in the center of the player's head, so it would be a suicide to shoot ourselves, so which we do not want. So for that purpose, what I'll do is I'll go to my robot and inside the viewport. Now I want to do one more thing which I feel like many shooter games, many third-person shooter games do. If you might have heard about the over the shoulder camera view. So what happens in that is my camera basically gets closer to the player and above the shoulder. So I'll just keep it here for you to see. Yeah, so this is the kind of view that I will be getting when I am trying to shoot like this. Alright, so I want my camera to be exactly here. Alright, so what is the position? It is 320, 70, 70. So for now I'll just keep it to 0, and when I'm in my aiming player state, I'll also quickly do that. Alright, so here I'll take the reference of my camera, and now I have to set a relative location, and when aiming, I think that was, I guess, 320 and 70, 70. Maybe no, bit behind. It's still too high. What was it? Yeah, this kind of seems nice. If I just move it a bit to the right and a bit to the front, 90, 90 and 30. Let's see. Yeah, bit forward as well, I guess. Yeah, this is perfect. Okay, so this was the location. I hope 310, 90, 30. Okay, 310, 90 and 30. And when my character is not aiming, which means he is in a walking state, I want my location to be 0, 0, 0. Okay, so now let's try this as well. Okay, so I forgot to reset the location of the camera. Okay, let's try this now. So now my camera is here. If I right click, my camera will come on its shoulder. I can shoot, and if I right click again, my camera goes back to the original location, and I can do this as many times as I want. All right, so now what next do we have to do? Also, the camera movement is a bit jittery, so let's try to maybe solve that first. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll add a timeline. I'll call this zoom in. Okay, so play from the start and update. Technically it should not be this if I'm not wrong, but let's see. I'll just double click on my timeline node. Here I need to create a track that is a float track. This will be of type, or just call it zoom. I don't think it matters what I name it. Its length will be 0.5 seconds, and on the 0-second key I'll add a key to my track. Its time will be 0 and its value will be 0. After that I'll add another key at time 0.5 seconds. Its value will be 1. Okay, so there is our timeline track which we require for zooming in. Similarly, I also need another timeline track for zoom out. Okay, and I'll just connect it here for now. Inside zoom out, I'll need another track, float track, zoom of length 0.5 seconds, and it will have keys on the 0-second value and also a key on the 0.5-second value where the value will be 1. Okay, so just save and come back to our event graph. Okay, now it needs some inputs and outputs. So for the time, I'll just give it maybe get delta seconds if I'm not, oh yeah, world delta seconds. Here I'll give it this, same to the zoom out node. Okay, now we get the zoom track that we made. It will go from 0 to 1 within 0.5 seconds. So we need to utilize this. We'll just enter, or what was that, lerp, sorry, lerp. We will lerp this, and technically this is, or how about I lerp a vector? Yeah, this one. Okay, so this is the alpha value and we need to lerp two values. So the first one is going to be the camera location. So I'll just get a reference to my camera and I'll get its relative location. So this is going to be lerped from 0, 0, 0 to what was the value again, 310, 90, 30. All right, and this will be our new location. All right, similarly In the second zoom out node, I'll take the lerp yet again. I'll put the zoom track into alpha, and for the first A input, it will be our camera's relative location again, and now it is going to be 0, 0 and 0. Okay, this is going to be the new location. Alright, so now let's see if this works. Technically this should work. I am not wrong somewhere. Let's test this. If I right click, you can see now my camera is zooming in smoothly, and if I right click again, my camera goes back to its original position. Again, if you want to try, here it is. Okay, so that was our zooming camera logic. If I right click again, my gun will be equipped. I can shoot, and if I right click again, I can shoot. I can zoom back out. Alright, so we have completed the aiming and the reload animations, the aim animation offset, and our shoot animation. So now the part that remains, that is the most interesting, is that we need our robot to shoot something. But before we head on to the next part, I would like to take a short break of 10 minutes. So stay tuned, and if you have any queries, think about them and drop them in the comments. Once I return back from the break, I will try to solve them. I will be back in a short break of 10 minutes.
As a child, I always wanted to build games.
Game like PUBG, vintage game Mario, everyone's favorite GTA.
I wanted to become a game developer, but I wonder how. पापा, मुझे गेम डेवलपर बनना है.
अबे फालतूगिरी छोड़, चुपचाप इंजीनियरिंग कर ले.
Why don't you become a doctor?
दिख रहा बिजनेस कर ही ले. अरे गवर्नमेंट जॉब करना. Enough. मुझे नहीं बनना डॉक्टर, इंजीनियर या गवर्नमेंट सर्वेंट. I just want to build cool games.
What if there were an institute that taught me 100% practical game development and design?
Yes, there is a one-stop solution, Game Institute India. Join Game Institute India and become part of the global gaming industry, a $522 billion market offering over 1 million career opportunities worldwide. At Game Institute India, we focus on 100% practical learning, giving you real-world exposure to game development, game design, and cutting-edge technologies like AR, VR, and the metaverse. Here, the students don't just learn, they create their own games, apply their creativity, and continuously level up their skills. You'll work on the industry-oriented projects, gain valuable experience, and graduate ready to step into the top-tier studios like Rockstar, Ubisoft, and more. Gaming isn't just playing, it's a global career. Enroll today and turn your passion into a profession.
As a child, I always wanted to build games.
Game like PUBG, vintage game Mario, everyone's favorite GTA.
I wanted to become a game developer, but I wonder how. पापा, मुझे गेम डेवलपर बनना है.
अबे फालतूगिरी छोड़, चुपचाप इंजीनियरिंग कर ले.
Why don't you become a doctor?
दिख रहा बिजनेस कर ही ले. अरे गवर्नमेंट जॉब करना. Enough. मुझे नहीं बनना डॉक्टर, इंजीनियर या गवर्नमेंट सर्वेंट. I just want to build cool games.
What if there were an institute that taught me 100% practical game development and design?
Yes, there is a one-stop solution, Game Institute India. Join Game Institute India and become part of the global gaming industry, a $522 billion market offering over 1 million career opportunities worldwide. At Game Institute India, we focus on 100% practical learning, giving you real-world exposure to game development, game design, and cutting-edge technologies like AR, VR, and the metaverse. Here, the students don't just learn, they create their own games, apply their creativity, and continuously level up their skills. You'll work on the industry-oriented projects, gain valuable experience, and graduate ready to step into the top-tier studios like Rockstar, Ubisoft, and more. Gaming isn't just playing, it's a global career. Enroll today and turn your passion into a profession.
As a child, I always wanted to build games.
Game like PUBG, vintage game Mario, everyone's favorite GTA.
I wanted to become a game developer, but I wonder how. पापा, मुझे गेम डेवलपर बनना है।
अबे फालतूगिरी छोड़, चुपचाप इंजीनियरिंग कर ले।
Why don't you become a doctor?
दिख रहा बिजनेस करी ले। अरे गवर्नमेंट जॉब करना। इनफ, मुझे नहीं बनना डॉक्टर, इंजीनियर या गवर्नमेंट सर्वेंट। आई जस्ट वांट टू बिल्ड कूल गेम्स।
What if there were an institute that taught me 100% practical game development and design?
Yes, there is a one-stop solution. Game Institute India. Join Game Institute India and become part of the global gaming industry. A $522 billion market offering over 1 million career opportunities worldwide. At Game Institute India, we focus on 100% practical learning, giving you real-world exposure to game development, game design, and cutting-edge technologies like AR, VR, and the metaverse. Here, the students don't just learn, they create their own games, apply their creativity, and continuously level up their skills. You'll work on the industry-oriented projects, gain valuable experience, and graduate ready to step into the top-tier studios like Rockstar, Ubisoft, and more. Gaming isn't just playing, it's a global career. Enroll today and turn your passion into a profession.
As a child, I always wanted to build games.
Game like PUBG, vintage game Mario, everyone's favorite GTA.
I wanted to become a game developer, but I wonder how. पापा, मुझे गेम डेवलपर बनना है।
अबे फालतूगिरी छोड़, चुपचाप इंजीनियरिंग कर ले।
Why don't you become a doctor?
दिख रहा बिजनेस करी ले। अरे गवर्नमेंट जॉब करना। इनफ, मुझे नहीं बनना डॉक्टर, इंजीनियर या गवर्नमेंट सर्वेंट। आई जस्ट वांट टू बिल्ड कूल गेम्स।
What if there were an institute that taught me 100% practical game development and design?
Yes, there is a one-stop solution. Game Institute India. Join Game Institute India and become part of the global gaming industry. A $522 billion market offering over 1 million career opportunities worldwide. At Game Institute India, we focus on 100% practical learning, giving you real-world exposure to game development, game design, and cutting-edge technologies like AR, VR, and the metaverse. Here, the students don't just learn, they create their own games, apply their creativity, and continuously level up their skills. You'll work on the industry-oriented projects, gain valuable experience, and graduate ready to step into the top-tier studios like Rockstar, Ubisoft, and more. Gaming isn't just playing, it's a global career. Enroll today and turn your passion into a profession.
As a child, I always wanted to build games.
Game like PUBG, vintage game Mario, everyone's favorite GTA.
I wanted to become a game developer, but I wonder how. पापा, मुझे गेम डेवलपर बनना है।
अबे फालतूगिरी छोड़, चुपचाप इंजीनियरिंग कर ले।
Why don't you become a doctor?
दिख रहा बिजनेस करी ले। अरे गवर्नमेंट जॉब करना। इनफ, मुझे नहीं बनना डॉक्टर, इंजीनियर या गवर्नमेंट सर्वेंट। आई जस्ट वांट टू बिल्ड कूल गेम्स।
What if there were an institute that taught me 100% practical game development and design?
Yes, there is a one-stop solution. Game Institute India. Join Game Institute India and become part of the global gaming industry. A $522 billion market offering over 1 million career opportunities worldwide. At Game Institute India, we focus on 100% practical learning, giving you real-world exposure to game development, game design, and cutting-edge technologies like AR, VR, and the metaverse. Here, the students don't just learn, they create their own games, apply their creativity, and continuously level up their skills. You'll work on the industry-oriented projects, gain valuable experience, and graduate ready to step into the top-tier studios like Rockstar, Ubisoft, and more. Gaming isn't just playing, it's a global career. Enroll today and turn your passion into a profession.
As a child, I always wanted to build games.
Game like PUBG, vintage game Mario, everyone's favorite GTA.
I wanted to become a game developer, but I wonder how. पापा, मुझे गेम डेवलपर बनना है।
अबे फालतूगिरी छोड़, चुपचाप इंजीनियरिंग कर ले।
Why don't you become a doctor?
दिख रहा बिजनेस करी ले। अरे गवर्नमेंट जॉब करना। इनफ, मुझे नहीं बनना डॉक्टर, इंजीनियर या गवर्नमेंट सर्वेंट। आई जस्ट वांट टू बिल्ड कूल गेम्स।
What if there were an institute that taught me 100% practical game development and design?
Yes, there is a one-stop solution. Game Institute India. Join Game Institute India and become part of the global gaming industry. A $522 billion market offering over 1 million career opportunities worldwide. At Game Institute India, we focus on 100% practical learning, giving you real-world exposure to game development, game design, and cutting-edge technologies like AR, VR, and the metaverse. Here, the students don't just learn, they create their own games, apply their creativity, and continuously level up their skills. You'll work on the industry-oriented projects, gain valuable experience, and graduate ready to step into the top tier studios like Rockstar, Ubisoft, and more. Gaming isn't just playing, it's a global career. Enroll today and turn your passion into a profession.
As a child, I always wanted to build games.
Game like PUBG, vintage game Mario, everyone's favorite GTA.
I wanted to become a game developer, but I wonder how. पापा, मुझे गेम डेवलपर बनना है.
अबे फालतूगिरी छोड़, चुपचाप इंजीनियरिंग कर ले.
Why don't you become a doctor?
दिख रहा बिजनेस करी ले. अरे गवर्नमेंट जॉब करना. Enough. मुझे नहीं बनना डॉक्टर, इंजीनियर या गवर्नमेंट सर्वेंट. I just want to build cool games.
What if there were an institute that taught me 100% practical game development and design?
Yes, there is a one-stop solution, Game Institute India. Join Game Institute India and become part of the global gaming industry, a $522 billion market offering over 1 million career opportunities worldwide. At Game Institute India, we focus on 100% practical learning, giving you real-world exposure to game development, game design, and cutting-edge technologies like AR, VR, and the metaverse. Here, the students don't just learn, they create their own games, apply their creativity, and continuously level up their skills. You'll work on the industry-oriented projects, gain valuable experience, and graduate ready to step into the top tier studios like Rockstar, Ubisoft, and more. Gaming isn't just a global career. Enroll today and turn your passion into a profession.
As a child, I always wanted to build games.
Game like PUBG, vintage game Mario, everyone's favorite GTA.
I wanted to become a game developer, but I wonder how. पापा, मुझे गेम डेवलपर बनना है.
अबे फालतूगिरी छोड़, चुपचाप इंजीनियरिंग कर ले.
Why don't you become a doctor?
दिख रहा बिजनेस करी ले. अरे गवर्नमेंट जॉब करना. Enough. मुझे नहीं बनना डॉक्टर, इंजीनियर या गवर्नमेंट सर्वेंट. I just want to build cool games.
What if there were an institute that taught me 100% practical game development and design?
Yes, there is a one-stop solution, Game Institute India. Join Game Institute India and become part of the global gaming industry, a $522 billion market offering over 1 million career opportunities worldwide. At Game Institute India, we focus on 100% practical learning, giving you real-world exposure to game development, game design, and cutting-edge technologies like AR, VR, and the metaverse. Here, the students don't just learn, they create their own games, apply their creativity, and continuously level up their skills. You'll work on the industry-oriented projects, gain valuable experience, and graduate ready to step into the top tier studios like Rockstar, Ubisoft.
Alright, so we are back after the break, guys, and let's start again where we left off. तो जैसे कि हमने देखा, एमिंग का जो हमारा फंक्शनैलिटी था लोगों ने कंप्लीट कर लिया है, एंड नाउ वी आर moving forward to our projectile shooting methods. So for that, what I'll do is I'll head back to my blueprints folder. I hope I am audible. Yeah, okay. Alright, so I'll head back to my blueprints folder, and inside here I'll just create a blueprint actor class. I'll name it bp underscore projectile. Alright, so I'll open up this class, and inside here I'll add a sphere component, and I'll just scale it down to 0.5 maybe, or maybe 0.3. Okay, so this is going to be our projectile component that we will be shooting. Okay, so yeah, so for the projectile component we also need to add the projectile movement. Okay, and in here I'll just change the initial value to 6000. It is the velocity, and then the gravity scale to 0. So what it does is it gives the actor class a projectile movement, meaning it will be projected forward at the given speed, that is 6000. So I need to spawn this projectile inside my robot when I fire inside my shooting logic. Okay, I'll just arrange these things first. एंड इसके अंदर मैं शूटिंग का मेरा जो लॉजिक है उसको अभी लिखूंगा. ओके, all right. So when I fire the bullet or when I play my AM shooting montage, I need to spawn actor from class. Okay, and technically that actor is going to be my BP underscore projectile. All right, so you can see it throws an error right away because we don't have the transform location, rotation and scale. But surprisingly enough, there is a very funny bypass to this. I hope you'll also laugh. So this is a combined pin, this is a transform. If I try to compile it now, it is giving me an error. I'll just split it and I'll do nothing. I don't give any inputs. Now if I try to compile, the error is just solved. Boom. So that is pretty weird, I guess. All right, so we still cannot give it 000 transform. What we instead need to give is, in our viewport, we need to have an arrow component or a placeholder that will tell where the bullet should spawn inside our robot. So I'll just add an arrow component and this will be inside my mesh and I'll call it bullet spawn. Okay, now I need to determine its location. I can do that by again going to my robot and using the animation asset of idle, and here I can change the location of my arrow be in front of the gun's barrel, which is I guess about here. Yeah, right about here somewhere. That should be enough, I guess. Okay, so I'll just revert this animation back to my blueprint, and now I have a reference for spawning my projectile. So I'll just go back to my event graph and this time I'll take the reference of my bullet spawn. I'll get the location, or rather I'll just get the transform and then split it. Get world transform, get world transform, yeah, right there. Okay, so I'll just split it now. I'll give it the location and technically I should give it the rotation, maybe not, we'll just see that in a minute. And I guess that is all, but this will indeed give us some difficulties. We can see that. Oh wow. Okay, so when I aim above my ground, okay, so it is currently blocking my camera. So what I can do for that is I can go in my aiming robot state or the action. What I can do here is I can get the layer camera manager and from here set max view pitch max and the sorry, not the view pitch max again, minimum. The maximum and minimum pitch I can set it from here. And similarly I'll do this when I'm not aiming. Okay, so when I am aiming, I need the maximum pitch to be, let's say, 35 to minus 35. And when I'm not aiming, I need it to be 15 and minus 15. Also, I'll just go into my viewport and I'll change the length of my camera boom, that is the spring arm that I have here. I can change it to maybe 400. Let's see if that works. Okay, so now you can see that my pitch is logged in a certain pitch clamp. Here I can only go up and down for 15 degrees, while I'm zoomed I can go up and down, or the pitch can go from minus 35 to plus 35. Alright, so there is one more issue that is stopping our camera from moving freely, that is, I think, the ground. So I'll just select the ground, and in the details tab I'll go into its collision presets. I'll turn it back to custom, and for the camera I'll tell it to ignore the camera. Now let's try this. Yeah, now you can see the aiming is pretty much smooth. जैसे पहले हमारा जो कैमरा है वो बहुत जिटर हो रहा था. So now you can see the camera can move around smoothly, and it is also logged within a certain aiming distance. And also I can shoot my projectile, like you can see, but the thing is the projectile is not currently pointed towards my crosshair. It is just going in the forward direction. Alright, so let's just quickly fix that one thing that is not working properly. So inside my robot, on the event graph, I'll just close these two tabs. Yes. Yeah, so on the shooting logic, when I'm spawning my projectile, I need to do one more extra thing, that is I need to do a line trace. So what is exactly a line trace? We just see that in a minute. So we'll do a line trace by channel. Now for a line trace to work, we need to give it two locations. First is the starting location, and second is the end location. So the line trace will create a line from the start location to the end location, and it will give us a list of all the objects or the channels that are hit by it. Alright, so for the starting location, I'll just give it the location of my camera. I'll get world location. This will be my start location, and for my end location, I'll just get the forward vector of my camera. I'll multiply this forward vector by a float that is going to be a huge amount, that is basically going to be the length of my line trace, and then I'll just add this up with the world location of my camera, and that is going to be my end location. Alright, so I'll draw it for duration, and after that I'll just squeeze a little bit more space in here. Now I'll break the hit result, and as you can see, there are multiple functionalities here for our line trace channel. So first of all, just keep it as far as we can. So the first thing that I need is a branch, which will tell me whether the line trace has hit something or not. If it has hit something, then I'll promote the impact point to a variable and this will be the impact point that the line trace has hit. And if it is not hitting something on false, I'll just get the trace end and I'll connect it to the impact point. Alright, so now we have the impact point. Now what I want to do is I need to spawn the projectile, but I need to give it some rotation. Actually, I was right with the location, so I'll just get the location. Get world location. So this will be the starting location. After that, I can technically give the rotation to it, but do I really need? No, I will instead use find look at rotation. This will be the rotation, and the start of its location will be the spawn location. The end will be our impact point. Alright, so now our bullet is all set. Let's test it out. If I aim, my buster is equipped, and technically my line trace is going correctly, but okay. So when my trace is not hitting anything, it is okay. I understood why it is not working, because we did not connect the false node. I'll just connect this, and now it should be working absolutely fine. Okay, so now I equip my buster, and wherever I shoot, wherever I aim this time, my gun will fire exactly at that point. Now you might have noticed another thing, that if I move my mouse backwards and I fire, my character still fires the bullet, but this time it is firing through its own body. So for that, there is a very simple solution. Whenever I am using my aiming player state, I just need to do one more thing. So I need to make some more space here. Alright, and before this, what we'll be doing is use controller rotation yaw. Set use controller rotation yaw. When I am aiming, it should be true, and when I am not aiming, it should be false. Alright, so now if I compile this and now I aim, you can see my character is now moving along my mouse. We have our aim offset, we have our shooting mechanic ready. As you can see, now our character will just shoot bullets wherever it is looking, and if I unequip my aim, I can just freely roam around. Alright, so now I'll just turn off the line trace channel, which is here, and you can see our shooting logic and our aiming logic is now completely done. Okay, so as you can see, my character can shoot on my crosshair. Alright, so that was all for today, guys. So we did a lot of new things. We learned how to fire projectiles, we learned how to give it a rotation, and how to make the projectile follow a certain path. We also set up some animations that are really cool, like the reload animations and our fire animations. In the next stream, we'll be checking and we'll be adding some more effects to our projectiles, and in the upcoming streams we'll also be adding some enemies using AI, so make sure you stay tuned to watch those streams as well. And once again, before stopping, I would just like to thank you all for joining the stream, and I would encourage you all to learn Unreal Engine, keep learning, and if you want to learn more effectively, you can join Game Institute India today. As I told you all, our website is gameinstituteindia.com, and you can contact us and our team will revert back if you have any queries. Once again, thank you for joining the stream, and we'll meet in the next stream session. Till then, keep learning. Bye bye.